silence. The cold, sterile air of the morgue hung heavy. Rows of metal trays, each holding a body beneath a stark white sheet, gleamed under the dim, unforgiving light. This was a place of finality, a room where life had ceased and stillness reigned. But in that absolute quiet, something impossible was about to happen. A flicker of movement. On one of the trays, a finger twitched. A slow, shallow breath followed, a ghost of air in the frigid room. Pale lips parted, and a faint whisper escaped. A man declared dead was waking up in the morgue. This isn't a scene from a movie. This is the incredible true story of a man who returned to life after 12 long hours in the cold embrace of death. It's a powerful testament that when a higher power speaks, even death itself must listen and obey. Before we dive into this astonishing account, hold this thought from Luke 1:37. For with God, nothing shall be impossible. Let this story fortify your faith and serve as a reminder that no situation is ever beyond hope, no moment too late for a miracle. If you believe in the power of real stories to change lives, make sure you subscribe, because what you're about to hear will challenge everything you thought you knew about life and death. Our story begins on what seemed like an ordinary morning in a small town in southern Africa. A man named John Morgue, a loving husband and father of 2, woke up feeling a sharp pain in his chest. He dismissed it as fatigue from work, telling his wife not to worry. But by midday, his condition worsened dramatically. His breathing grew labored, his vision blurred, and his wife rushed him to the local hospital in a panic. Doctors scrambled, working furiously to save him. They administered oxygen, performed chest compressions, and injected life-saving drugs. But despite their best efforts, the line on the heart monitor went flat. A long, piercing beep echoed through the room, a sound of irreversible finality. The doctor checked his watch and solemnly announced, "Time of death, 2:45 p.m. John's wife collapsed in grief. His family's world shattered as nurses gently covered his face with a white sheet. His body was transported to the hospital morgue and placed inside a cold, refrigerated chamber. As hours turned into a somber night, his family began the heartbreaking process of planning a funeral. 12 hours had passed since John Morgue was pronounced dead. But then, in the dead of night, something happened that defied all logic. The morgue attendant, a man who had seen death day in and day out for years, heard a noise. At first he dismissed it, the wind, a trick of the mind, but he heard it again. A faint but distinct knocking sound, coming from inside one of the metal drawers. He froze, a chill running down his spine that had nothing to do with the room's temperature. Slowly his eyes fixed on the drawer where John's body lay. The sound came again, louder this time. Knock, knock, knock. Shaking, he called for another worker. Together, their hands trembling, they pulled open the chamber. What they saw made them drop their flashlights and cry out in disbelief. John's body was shaking, his fingers were moving, and then his eyes opened, wide and filled with a dazed confusion. The 2 workers fled, their screams echoing down the empty hospital corridors. Doctors were urgently called back. When they rushed into the morgue, they found John Morgue sitting up, gasping for air and whispering his wife's name. They checked his pulse. It was strong and steady. They listened to his heart. It was beating with a regular rhythm. The very doctor who had signed the death certificate stood there, speechless. The machines had shown no signs of life. Yet here was John, breathing, living. When John's wife arrived, she saw him and fell to her knees, her voice choked with tears of joy. "Thank you, Lord," she cried out. "You brought him back to me." News of the miracle spread through the hospital like wildfire. Staff and patients alike gathered, wanting to see the man who had returned from the dead. Some tried to find a scientific explanation, but for many others, the answer was clear. This was an act of God. When John was finally able to speak, he shared what he had experienced. He described being in a place filled with a brilliant, peaceful light and an overwhelming sense of love. He said he heard a voice tell him, "It is not your time yet. Go back and tell them that I am real." He then felt a powerful rush like a strong wind and suddenly found himself awake, cold, and confined inside the morgue. He couldn't move at first, but he prayed with all his might, and slowly strength returned to his body. The medical team was baffled. It was medically impossible for someone to be clinically dead for 12 hours and return with no brain damage, no tissue decay, and perfect memory. But the proof was right in front of them. John was alive, articulate, and filled with gratitude. After several days of observation, every test came back perfect. His heart was strong, his breathing was normal. When the media arrived, they all asked the same question. "How did you survive?" John simply smiled and said, "I did not survive. I was brought back by the power of God. He gave me a second chance at life, so I can tell the world that He is still performing miracles." The hospital issued a public statement, calling his recovery a case beyond human explanation. John's story became a beacon of hope. He began visiting hospitals, praying for the sick and sharing his powerful testimony. His message was simple: if God could bring me back from death, He can bring you back from anything. Faith was rekindled in hearts that had grown cold. Families who had given up on sick loved ones began to pray with renewed hope. Even the veteran morgue attendant who thought he had seen everything was transformed that night. "I used to think death was the end," he later shared, "but now I know that God holds the keys to life and death. As Jesus said in John 11:25, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die." John's miracle is a living embodiment of that promise. It's a powerful reminder that even when the world declares something is over, a higher power can declare a new beginning. When all seems lost, heaven can still say, "It is not yet the end." Today, so many of us feel like our dreams are dead, our relationships are broken, and our hope is gone. But remember John Mwangi's story. If a man can be brought back after 12 hours in a morgue, what impossible situation are you facing that God cannot turn around? Never give up, never stop believing, because when God speaks life into a situation, nothing on earth can hold it back. As it says in Ezekiel 37:5, "I will cause breath to enter you, and you shall live." This story is more than just an incredible event. It's a testament that the same power that conquered the grave is still at work in our world today. It's a power that can resurrect broken hearts, restore lost faith, and breathe new life into our deepest despairs. Thank you for watching and sharing this journey with us. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more true stories of hope and miracles. Until next time, hold on to your faith.